Hey, it's snowing. Look at that. And I'm sitting next to some holly. Hello, Holly.
Hello, Holly. How are you?
Hey, folks. Welcome to Cool Crap We Love, episode number 26. It's been 26 episodes. My name is John Peasy, and welcome. I see people popping in already here on Facebook Live, and we're on YouTube, I think. We're on Facebook Live at a couple pages, as well as also tonight on striketv.org, which is a great channel to check out for other great content as well. And welcome. We have a lot to go through tonight. So we're going to go through some great holiday gifts that were given to people when you were kids, such as toys for Christmas morning, or for Hanukkah, if you were celebrating that crazy 8 days of craziness. But first, let's bring on the guy who I work with, the co-host here, who is called tonight Walt Big Santa P, is what you're going to see here. Welcome, Walt Big Santa P. There you go.
How you doing?
Oh, it's just Papa Leo. Okay. But when there's three of us on the screen, when we have the real Santa Claus come on, it says Walt Big Santa P.
It does. It does. So we,
By the way, just before the show, I said, you have probably had to go do that. And I said, and you said no, but
I do every time.
I didn't get a chance to go do that. I planned on doing that. It was a do.
I have to do
it. I didn't even change. I'm still wearing. Look, I'm wearing sweatshirt.
Yep. Yeah, very festive of you.
Yeah, very festive. How you doing, Mr. Walt?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. It was a beautiful day today. It was almost 60 degrees. Getting ready for my exodus of New York State at one point in the next 5 or 6 years.
Oh, okay. You're making it sound like, after the New Year, you're doing something.
No. I got about 5 years, and then I'm gone, man.
And where you gone to?
I'm going South Carolina, Florida, somewhere down there.
You know what's really nice? Asheville, North Carolina. I've been down there. It's in a little mountainous, down in a valley. It's beautiful. Really nice, cool, hip place.
I want beach. I want sand.
Do you really? You're into the water?
I like the sand. I like that whole hanging out at a tiki bar and watching hearing the ocean come in. Sometimes at nighttime I can't sleep. I go, Alexa, play ocean sounds, and I sleep to the waves.
Really? You're really into that, huh? Really? Well, do you hear that? Alexa.
I said, "Oh, your Alexa."
Did you say her name? How did that happen? That's amazing.
I did. I said, Alexa, play Alexa, play sounds of the ocean.
She can't hear you now, apparently.
Deaf. Deaf biatch.
Maybe you're married to her. So this is interesting. Today we're supposed to be doing a show about what?
About Christmas gifts and Hanukkah gifts. I've never gotten a Hanukkah gift, so I don't know what that is, but I've heard comedians talk about it. I know what it is. I would assume that the Christmas gifts I got all at once, they could probably space them out over 8 days. Same thing.
Well, I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, and somebody could tell us if we're wrong in the chat, but I believe that, what are you drinking, Mr. Santa, Big Santa Papa Leo?
I'm telling you, it's by coconut. I love coconut.
Okay.
Brings me the islands.
Is that our new sponsor, By Coconut?
By coconut.
Yeah, Charlie Fisher goes, you could move in with Jackie Martling. He lives on the water.
He does.
He actually does, but that's on the cold water. 3/4 of the year on the base shore there. So, maybe people tell us if I'm wrong or right, but you tell me from my belief. So Hanukkah being it's longer and you have several days, and
right.
You have, right? I think the gifts were a little bit smaller. I mean, I remember I've seen I've seen so many people on Christmas morning. They have trees full of all these stuff, especially kids with tons of toys and all, like really over the top, very Americanized. And then you see, I remember on Hanukkah, you'd get something. Yeah.
You get like the left sneaker.
Tuesday.
And the second day, you get the right sneaker.
Wednesday. And then Thursday. What would you get on Thursday? You'd get the laces.
Thursday, you would get the one set of one lace. And then on Friday, you would get the next lace.
But I believe Hanukkah was smaller. I think you get smaller gifts each day rather than this over-the-top Americanized Christian.
Yeah, but what's the difference? Yeah, I mean, how much smaller could they have been? I mean, could you get a game? I put it up, like Candyland or Monopoly.
Yeah, you
For
could.
16
I could be wrong, but I believe that, I remember seeing my friends, they were playing dreidel, 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 and all that kind of stuff, the chocolate coins, and it was always like it was almost like stocking gifts compared to Christmas morning in my mind's eye. Now, I could be wrong. That's just my perspective. So we
All
could ask,
right. Well,
somebody
do
will
we
ask.
have any Jewish people that know?
Well, if there's any good Jewish people in the audience, it's Hanukkah.
Good, good. As opposed to we always have bad ones.
No, but I'm making the point that if there's any good Jewish people in the audience, it's Friday night. It's Shabbos. So right now they should not be here. It's
All
dark.
right, I forgot. It's Friday.
Unless they just turn on Cool Crap before they go in.
Right. Maybe they have Goyim come in and turn it on for them.
Yeah, you're right. I hope so. Just so they can watch the show.
All right, so let's talk about some of the toys that we got when we grew up.
Okay, and I added some more. You sent me a list, and I have even more.
Do it.
And there's a lot to go through, so I'm going to try to go through them really quickly. Are you ready?
Bang them out because we want to bring on Charles Edward Hall, who is the Santa Claus, the most famous Santa Claus, I think, in the United States, if not the world.
I would imagine you were exactly right. Yep.
If not the world.
And he's a really nice guy off the air as out of his Santa garb.
Yes.
And he has a great background of theater that we were not aware of. So it's really cool.
Yes.
All right, first one coming up. Here's something that you sent me. Ready? Boom. The
Victrola. A Victrola.
Yeah.
I loved it. I had one. It had a blue bottom and it had like a psychedelic red, white, and blue type of top. My brother had a Donald Duck one where the arm came over, and that was the needle that came down.
Now, it's funny you mention this because I had a Victrola too, but I remember in the 70s as a kid, I was given a toy and I looked it up and added it to this. You gave me this. It was called Close and Play. Does that sound familiar to you?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Close and Play phonograph. And it was plastic. It was really crappy. And you would put the record. And here's
the record, the 45 in there. Yep.
Yeah, 45s. And you'd put those 45s in there and just close it and it would play.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to like lay the needle on it or anything. It was just, it's funny because kids, if you're a young person today with MP3s and all this other kind of stuff, you got to look at this like, what are you talking about the needle?
Yeah. How cool was that though, man? You would take your record player over to somebody's house, plug it in with like around 7 records, and you would listen to the same seven records, all day.
Yeah. Exactly, all day, and now
sucked.
We were really old, but this was something. And now, when I start thinking of this, now, do you see next to that picture of the Close and Play? There's a thing that's just in multicolor says record.
Yeah,
this leads me to believe. Do you recall inside
cereal boxes?
Yeah, they used to give records sometimes, and they were like
not in them, on them. They were part of the cereal box.
And you'd rip it off and take the perforations off.
You'd have to cut the record out off of the box.
And it was a 45 that could actually play, but it was really floppy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. Now, I remember on Kellogg's or like on cereal boxes. And that's what that record looks like to the right. That little one that says record or multi. It looked like that on a cereal box.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
And I was fascinated as a kid as how could they do that and print it on a box and you could play,
It didn't have the big hole like the 45. It had that little hole like the 33, the big album.
Right. That's right. And the needle was in the lid. That is correct.
That is correct, Bob Rumplet.
When I was growing up, we got something every day. As we got older, it was not every day, but we did get one big gift. Okay, now Charlie Fisher was raised Jewish, so Charlie.
But I don't think he was a practicing Jew, was he?
I want to ask him this question. So, did you get gifts that were small gifts along every day?
Every day.
Yeah, I believe that's the way I saw it with all my friends. Machine Gun Alley. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I forgot all about Machine Gun Alley. Wow, that's a good point. All right, moving right along here. Bingo.
I thought that was awesome because I still wear those.
Yeah, well, who says we're not? I mean,
yeah, they have big ones, but back then is when they turned it on to us. But the Batman underoos and the Superman underoos, and if your mother didn't know any better, she got you the Aquaman underoos that nobody even knew who Aquaman was.
And look what it says: one top and one brief, and it goes 50% combined cotton with 50% Dacron Polyester. That was a big name, Dacron polyester. For some reason,
Dacron.
what's Dacron? Like we really know, like even then or now.
Dacron is actually the #1 cause of cancer.
Very funny. All right, this was great. Ready? Boom! Battle.
Loved it.
What did the kids say?
You sank my battleship.
Yeah, every time. And this was a great game. It was supposedly a strategy game, but it was really silly. But I wanted this. I had it many times and played it many, many times. Great.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, the battleship had 4 pegs on it. So the premise of the game, if you don't know what it is, they gave you an aircraft carrier, which was 5 pegs, five pegs, and you had to guess. It was almost like a graph paper, A1, and you'd say hit or miss. And if you hit, then you knew you had one of their 5 ships. The toughest one to find was that little U-boat that was only 2 pegs.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was great. It was good. It was actually a simple, fun game, and I like the way it all folded up in a little carry case.
That's it. That's it. Pegs all stay right in there.
This is another classic game here. There you go.
Chutes and Ladders.
I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it. I don't mean to be negative, but I wasn't crazy about it. But it was a really popular, simple game for kids.
Very, very. You know what? The only reason I put that on there is because if I remember right, there was like 100 squares, and you had to, you roll a die, and you'd move that many squares. But when you got almost to the top to end the game, there was so what would happen? So the premise of the game is Chutes and Ladders. If you landed on a square that had a ladder, it would bring you from square 18 to like square 62. But if you hit a chute and you hit like square 99, it brought you all the way down to like square 12.
It's just, I'm laughing about it. The whole world right now is watching like CNN and Fox News with Hunter Biden. And you're telling me about you get to the top square and you slide
it down.
And by the way,
12.
You were special.
That's why, but you'd always cheat, because if you knew you were going to land, if you did quick math in your head and you were going to land on that big long chute, you'd just pass it. You'd count wrong.
If you counted wrong, yeah. But if the other person wasn't watching, you count.
Yes.
However, that's Russian disinformation. Basically.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. Color forms.
Great.
I mean, even when you get older, it was just still fun and silly to play with this. It's just one of those dumb things that just feels good for some reason.
You could take those things and put a person's body on it, and then you can put like a dress on the girl, or you can put pants on the girl. You put a red shirt on her, but then you change the blue shirt, and the guy.
Brilliant idea. The LGTB color forms for 2021. Right?
What do we do?
You mix up men and women's clothes and stuff, and parts and stuff. Make LGTB color forms. Be a big hit.
I thought you were talking about the TV LG.
No, no. Okay.
You got to give me the rest of those letters. You can't just say LG. That's lesbian and gay. You forgot all the other ones.
I know, but this would be a funny idea. Make one specifically for that market.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that's pretty good, because now everybody wears everything. You're right.
Look at you.
Nobody's wearing this.
Nobody's wearing that
jacket.
You are Santa Claus.
Yeah, look at this. This is what Herman Munster would wear at Christmas. And that black shirt in the middle.
How about G.I. Joe, a classic?
Yeah, but I did that one on purpose, because that one has the kung fu grip.
Oh yeah, I remember that, the kung fu grip.
You can get G.I. Joe,
but really hurt somebody, right?
Yeah, the kung fu grip. But G.I. Joe was the thing, man.
Now, this is interesting because G.I. Joe really wasn't into too much. I didn't like the action figure things when I was a kid. Was like, oh, that's for girls, dolls. That was. Meanwhile, I'm a ventriloquist for a living now. But back in those days, it was like for girls back in the days. And then suddenly, my brother, who was a little younger than I, was into this stuff, and I had bought the G.I. Joe that goes to outer space. It came with a space capsule.
Yeah, I remember. I had it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And there was an arm that you put your hand in to pick up moon rocks with.
Well, that I didn't have.
Oh, it was cool. So my brother, who was younger, had this.
What is that? Action Jackson.
That's correct. Action Jackson. Now, today, it's a movie of an African-American man that's like a superhero or something.
Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers was in it.
That's correct. But 1970s, early
Yeah.
70s. This was a boy's doll that you play with that did like cool, that he saved the world or whatever.
I
My
don't
name
remember
is
it.
Bold Adventure is my Action Jackson is my name. Bold Adventure is my game. Think of what you can want to be and call on me. See that? That's the trademark there. Look at that.
Yeah. John, I don't want you ever to say that again. By the way, I'm thinking about that G.I. Joe. You should make a puppet G.I. Joe
Oh,
and do a G.I. Joe puppet.
that's actually a brilliant. And by
Landon, get on it.
Landing, get on it. By the way, that's a great Rock'em Sick'em Robots. By the way, that's one of the things we have a picture of because that was one of
You
my
did?
toys.
You
Yeah,
did the Rock'em Sock'ems?
I threw them in, and these are still yours. Okay, here we go. Epstein didn't kill himself. I don't know how that came in here. Sorry.
I saw it came up somehow. The Epstein didn't kill himself doll, and I thought it would be topical.
I want one. Epstein didn't kill himself. That's hilarious. I love it. I love it.
Where would you get that? I don't even know where you would get that. I would assume Amazon sells everything.
Yeah, I would buy. That is the holiday gift of the season.
And you know what you could do? You could get for the first day of Hanukkah, the Epstein alive doll.
Then
you get this Epstein didn't kill himself doll.
And then
you get the dolls that fell asleep when he was murdered.
And then you get the Epstein Island that they could all go play on.
Yeah, you get the whole Epstein Island, and then you could get the Giselle Maxwell, Ghislaine, whatever her name is. You get that doll.
Ghislaine.
Accessories.
Ghislaine. Oh, good. All right, here we go. This is great. One of my favorites. This,
Did it, man.
I'm glad you brought this up. Did you have this as a kid as well?
I did, man. And I remember going to two guys to buy the cars. They were about $350 a piece. But if I'm not mistaken,
they were $350 a piece.
Yeah. You know why? Because they went on the track and they were real looking race cars. Didn't they have the little stem that came out of the car and went into the groove of the track?
At the top. And then
on the bottom of it. It had a little stem came out of it. And you put it in the track of the car, and that's what made it go electric around.
Not electric around. That you had there's a if you see this on the box, see the yellow thing there? There's a handle there that the harder is spring loaded, and you pull it back and you whack it hard. And as you whack it hard, it throws the car into the
that was a different one.
That's Johnny Lightning. Look.
Oh, then I got the wrong one.
You see the way the kid can move his hand back and forth from left to right?
Yeah, that one I didn't have.
As the car is rolling around the track and it comes back up, it is clicking with that little pin. It's clicking in, holding it, and you're pushing it with speed. You're giving it the hook, the push.
See, I had the electric one. My father had a job.
Actually, this Johnny Lightning thing was really cool. I really remember thinking it was the greatest. Look at all the kids like in the 1960s hat on. It's
the little Mike Morse cartoons up there looking over.
Now here's this. This is classic.
I loved it, man. That was awesome because you get Light Bright for Christmas, right? And you'd have all those pegs. So it was a blackboard that had little holes in it, and they would give you patterns, and it would say put a red peg here, and they would light up the pegs from the light bulb that was in back of it. But over the year, you would lose the pegs. So next year you would have to buy pegs for Christmas.
Yeah, and I also remember something interesting about this. What was the song? I know it, but I'm asking you because I think you have that weird memory.
I do have that weird memory, but I don't. I'm thinking of the Slinky song.
No, it was Light Bright, making things with light.
Oh,
Light Bright.
That light bulb went in there was the same light bulb that you cooked a cookie in the Easy Bake Oven.
Easy Bake Oven, yeah. That's the one that your sister was cooking in the. We were like little goofball kids.
This is the garbage we grew up with.
I know, no iPads, no. Now you put this in there. This was as a kid, as a boy. This was every boy's dream as a kid. What is it?
You know why I did that?
Mini bike.
You know why I did that?
Why?
Because one Christmas, me and my brother woke up and there were two green mini bikes sitting under the Christmas tree.
So your parents wanted to get rid of you.
Yes, Well, we weren't even old enough to drive. We weren't even old enough to drive them by ourselves. This is like when we were like 10.
But wait a minute. Is this like, did you have like, see, this is the mini bike frame with the actual lawnmower motor.
Yeah, that's what we had.
Now, a lot of kids like would make their own. They put it on their bike, but this is like if you got the frame and ordered the frame and put this in there, and that's the real. You had the real deal.
We had the real deal. I remember we used to just ride them in the courtyard, the schoolyard, right across the street from our house. Mm-hmm. That was the extent of it. You couldn't ride them in the street because you get
a ticket and arrested. They bring you back to your parents. Yeah, I remember like getting in trouble for this too. And
I wasn't even old enough to take that out without my father going out. That's how young we were when we got those. But you couldn't do it because back then police weren't defunded. So I remember this, and you'll like this story, that my father and me and my brother and my uncle Eddie, we all took those mini bikes downtown Jersey City by the Colgate clock, where Colgate Palmolive used to be.
Sure.
And we drove. That's where my father grew up and Uncle Eddie grew up. And we drove around. I mean, we busted into bars with these things like we were motorcycle guys. Let me tell you something. That was the most fun I've ever had during Christmas time, because it was almost like we were bikers with these things. It was awesome.
It felt cool. You felt like a big cheese. I was like a prefab. I don't know. I had like a put together kind of, botched up piece of bicycle with a motor on it, but it was still just as fun. And I do remember getting in trouble with the cops because they would pull you over. And then later on, as the 70s moved on, they came out with mopeds,
which was just a motorcycle with pedals on it. And that's how they got away with it, because it was a bike.
But it really wasn't a motorcycle. It was a bike with a little motor on it. And it was really, but it was huge. I remember they even had a place where I lived. There was a moped rental, but you could go rent a moped for the day and kill
down the shore, Jersey Shore. You can rent mopeds and go all over. The reason they called it a moped was because it was a motorized bike, which they couldn't sell you because you need a license and all of that. But if they put pedals on it, then it was a bike. And you were able to. They skirted around that rule.
Now these, boom,
soccer boppers.
It was great.
You could beat each other to a pulp with these things. Everybody says, "Oh, they don't hurt because there's air in them." And no, you get hit with one of those and then hit your head on the coffee table because you fell. It hurts.
Not only that, the thing was sewn together and the seams would scrape your face as you get hit.
I forgot about that.
Now, why'd you throw these in?
Because it sucked when you got clothes, when you got socks.
Yeah, you always like, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Grandma. I got a tie.
No, when I was a kid, who wanted socks?
I know, but people always bought you socks and underwear for Christmas. I don't know. It was like one of those things.
You take those things and you throw them to the side as quick as you open them up so you can get to the next box.
Very true. It was. I remember as a kid on my birthday party when kids would come over and everything, they hand you like the gift, and you take the card out, rip it open, and go like this. See if there's any money in it.
I got to be honest. I still do that.
I'm sure
on my birthday.
I'll remember not to put anything in an envelope. Look now. All right,
bro. Bro.
Yeah.
I had every one of them except that Tarzan guy at the end, whoever that is.
Now, what were these, like little plastic figurine kind of?
Yeah, man. Oh, bro, these were the joint. These were the. I'm telling you, man. I love these dolls. If you had these dolls right now, you know how rich you'd be.
Seriously,
these are the real deal. These and these are the ones that have looked exactly like the ones that I had, man. And these were the superhero dolls that you played with.
They faintly look very familiar to me. I remember them looking really colorful, but I don't remember. I just kind of faintly remember them.
You are a superhero guy, bro. You weren't a doll guy, and now you're a doll guy.
I like superheroes. All right. You threw this vintage Viewmaster in here.
This was the best. Because people who don't understand what this is, the black thing on the side there with the two where you put your eyes, you would take that little circle, it had little negatives in there or color pictures, and you could actually watch a movie, but it was only about 20 slides.
It was kind of like a movie, but it
wasn't a movie, but it was still pictures from a movie.
Yeah, and it was cool because they looked like alive, like 3D almost. They were like
Yeah.
alive. It was pretty cool. It was really popular back in the day. Now you put this in here, I put this in here, the many
Yeah, I
faces.
didn't do that.
I was looking at Action Jackson, and this is the way his transition went over the years. Action Jackson looks like he went through many different personality changes over his lifetime. Let's see. All right. Did you give me this?
No, you did.
All right. So I wanted to throw in something for the ladies. So there you go. The what is it? Dinah Shore? Who is it? Dynamite?
Dinah Shore? Is that
I know,
Dinah Shore?
Dynamite. Dynamite. Anyway, this is something.
That's perfect for Hanukkah because there's one doll for each day.
There you go. Beautiful thing. Then this was Tickle Me Obama. Did you have one of those?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Now, here's something that I thought was great. And this is going back even earlier than my time a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. I forgot about Gumby.
And Gumby was cool. Gumby it was a simple cartoon, but he would like lift one leg and just go, it was like a really weird little thing.
He wasn't a cartoon though. That was like a claymation. So
And
somebody would have to take a clay doll and move it, and then take a still shot, and then move his arm a little bit and take a shot, and that's how they did that.
Yeah, you're right. And didn't he have Pokey? Was that the horse?
Pokey was the little orange horse he had.
All right, I want to bring on my friend Santa, but before I will buzz it through here real quick. Here we go. Super mini balls.
These were great because if you hit them hard enough on the ground, they would go so high in the air.
And look what it says.
You know why they stopped making them?
50,000 pounds of compressed energy, it says.
Yes. Do you know why they stopped making them?
Whammo. Remember Whammo?
Because you know why they stopped? Because idiots were taking them and throwing them into the ground as hard as they can and not moving their faces, and they would come up and hit you in the eye.
Yeah. Because
take your eye right out.
Because we're stupid people.
Yes, we are. That's what we did.
Okay. Here's another one of the color forms. But this was like hours of fun too. I remember Kenner's Spirograph, and this was like all the little plastic round pieces that you put in there. And I don't know why there was a joy in spinning something around and making a design that you couldn't naturally do. I don't know if you're looking back at it.
Well, it was symmetric. Everything was symmetric. You could make a circle, 10 circles in a row, but you couldn't do them symmetrically. This thing had some kind of gears on it you'd stick a pen in a little hole, and then the gears would go around almost like a bike chain, and it would make a beautiful art picture for you, but you got sick of it after a while.
I don't know. It was kind of interesting, but why we like that, I don't know. And look what it says: simple and fascinating way to draw a million marvelous patterns. Who wrote that copy?
We like that because we didn't have an iPhone. That's why.
All right, so I want to go through here a couple of excuse me. I threw a couple things that you didn't see. The classic thing we play with yo-yos.
Yo-yo. Great. That wasn't a Duncan, though. I don't know if that was a Duncan.
I don't know, but we used to have Duncan Butterfly and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool. And then here's another one: sit and spin. Remember that?
Sit and spin. Yeah, that's awesome. That middle piece would stay still. The bottom piece you'd sit on, and you would just turn yourself around, and all you would do is just get yourself dizzy.
Yep. And this was a big thing. I had a younger brother, and so in the late 70s, this came out, and this was huge for people.
Big wheel.
Huge.
Loved it. Loved it. I broke a girl's arm on there one time.
Did you really?
Yeah, I said, get on the back. She was standing on the back. She didn't want to do it. I talked her into it. She fell off of it and broke her arm.
Are you serious? Really?
Swear to God, Debbie Rayside.
What was the repercussions of that?
I'm not sure.
Today really talk a house.
She doesn't talk to me too much today.
Well, she couldn't say hi for a while.
Right. Lefty.
All right, let's real quickly. Here's another one. Great one. Perfection. Remember this?
Hey, I do remember that.
Yeah, simple, stupid, silly game that you click the tick, 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 tick. You had to do it as quick as the other guy and get them all back.
Yeah, but that red knob up top was a timer, right?
Yes, it was a timer. That's correct. Okay.
So you had to do it in a certain amount of time.
How about this? I want to bring Santa Claus in here really quick. Here we go. My creepy crawlers.
You make those. I'm sure those weren't toxic. That stuff. It was liquid that went into a mold. You baked it, and it came out as a gummy bear.
Right. Yeah, kind of. And they later on made them into candy with stuff too. Now, this is my favorite toy, and then I want to go real quick into something negative. But this is when I was a kid, every year, this is what I want all the time.
You're setting up negative?
Yes. No, this is not negative. This is the racing. These racing tracks, to me, as a kid, were the greatest. You had two controllers. You had the cars,
Yeah,
and it was just hours and hours of fun until you burnt out the brushes on the bottom of those things. And
that's
you
what
know,
I was talking about. This one.
that's what you. That was electric racing track.
That's the one that's the one I had.
Yeah, Johnny, the other one, Johnny Lightning.
Johnny Lightning. Yeah, I didn't have that.
I had them both. Now, here's a couple quick things, real quick. Negative things that are positive, which is not a good word in 2020. Play-Doh, great fun.
Delicious. It's delicious.
It's non-toxic, but I don't know about you. And it came in all different colors, different size boxes, and everything else. And they had things that later on came out that you could put them in and squeeze it and make like strange figures and squares and stars. But any time that any parent gave this to their kid, immediately, like, I don't know, when you want it again, oh, no more Play-Doh. Got stuck on my rug. We're not doing that again. Remember that?
Right. You know, what was your favorite thing to make with Play-Doh? A hamburger.
Yeah,
Just
maybe.
pat it down. Hamburger. Yeah. But when the dough, the red dough mixed with the white dough, it became like a marble.
But then you try to pull all the little pieces out.
Yeah, you try to pull it out, and you got a little red in it.
How about this? Ants in the pants.
Love it. Loved it.
A lot of fun.
That's how the game Quarters was invented.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna bust through two more of these. Just a couple quick negatives. Ready? This is things that would kill yourself.
Right. I remember them.
Buckets.
They're like stilts. Buckets that you walked on.
Sand buckets with ropes.
Yeah, they were sturdy sand buckets, but
right.
They were buckets.
Breaking your arm and breaking your leg. This is a good way to do it.
Good way to twist an ankle.
And another one. Talk about now. I'm not being negative, but these are things that shouldn't be on the market. I guess that was one of them. Here's the other one: the atomic energy set.
I don't remember it, but it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, this is in the 50s, like I think late 50s, early 60s. They start coming out with this stuff, with little electronic things and this and that. They had a wood burning kit. They have this, and I was trying to look at like what's inappropriate things for that you give as a holiday gift. And here's another one that's really inappropriate. I found this. It's the stuff, hug, play, snuggle Superman, and look at the doll's face on the front.
What the hell is that?
It says, "Turn your pillow into one of the biggest ever movies." Yeah, I mean, there were pillows with it's. I'm not even gonna go any further. You get.
Is that a hole in his mouth?
Yes, it is. And they made different characters. There was stuff, a hug, play. It's crazy.
What did you do with the hole in the mouth? I mean, besides what Gene Trifolo would do with it.
I have no idea.
All right.
I just want to give one thing, something that's inappropriate.
Last one, and then we got to bring Santa on.
I say we bring Santa on now. We're burning through time.
Bring him on.
We're ready to go. So I have to thank you for getting this guest tonight. Because
thank Roger Paul,
that's right, and Charles Edward Hall. This is interesting too, because I was looking up Charles Hall. Now he has a really varied career in theater that we just found out about, but also he's really well known for several other things, like his interviews with Risa, Radio City Christmas Spectacular, TV movie, Elmo's World, Barney Live in New York City, Dare to Dream, The Rebirth of Radio City Music Hall, Sesame Street Carol as a special guest, and he's written a couple of books as well. So this is super interesting, and one of the greatest Santas ever, and he's here today.
The most famous.
Please welcome Charles Edward Hall. I'm going to put him right in the middle, right there. There he is. All right.
What's up, Charles?
How you doing? Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for waiting for us to get in here as we went through all the rhetoric of toys.
I remember those. Well, I had my brother Tom had an Astro bass. You remember Astro bass? It was like,
Astro bass.
Kind of late 50s plastic where they landed on the moon and all. And yeah, I know it's fun looking at those.
Now,
that's awesome.
And you being Santa Claus, everyone, I mean, you must have had so many people in your life often say to you, "What, Santa, can I have this? Can I have that?" You must have been getting that all the time for so many kids over the years.
Yeah. And adults,
Really,
everybody wants something, and that's part of it.
It must be joyous, though, to play Santa Claus. It must be a joyous thing.
It it is. But you know, I played Scrooge first, and as a young character actor, I was more into playing Ebenezer Scrooge than I
Wow.
was Santa, because Scrooge was a larger part of the show, and Santa was just a small part. And so, you know, for a long time, Santa was kind of put on the back for me because I had to learn from Ebenezer Scrooge first. Um, but then as the show progressed, Santa became more and more part of my life. And then after I realized what a large part of his life and my life were to one another, that's when I wrote my book and, you know, kind of discovered that Santa is real.
What do you mean when you say Santa is real?
Well, Santa is real in the fact that the spirit of Santa, of Christmas, is that anyone can be Santa. It's not a matter of dressing up, it's a matter of spirit, of giving, celebrating. Um, you know, and obviously the birth of Christ. I mean, that's where it
Right.
all comes from. So it comes from a religious in belief. Um, so you know, and I think that's part of what, if you can adopt that to your own life in a positive manner, then what you believe in, you can manifest. And if that's joy and happiness and healthiness, then that's all possible. But it's not like turning on a light, you know, there takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of focus.
You must be ecstatic when kids come up to you. I mean, obviously they must ask you for the craziest things, but
Yeah.
just that feeling of having a kid come up and almost like meeting, Bruce Springsteen for an older person,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is. And, you know, I've learned a lot from those children. That,
But it
that,
seems like he had to come from the Ebenezer to the
you know,
Santa Claus. He had to go from one extreme to the other. And by the way,
right,
Ebenezer is the kind of like you love to hate character,
right, right.
right? I mean, so even though you hate him, you kind of love him too. You kind of love to hate him.
Well, it's good to play too. It's a great character to play. You
Yeah.
know, I mentioned in the book that, you know, when I was doing Scrooge at the very end, I would fall down on my knees and, uh, you know, redeem, beg forgiveness, and go through that whole end of the speech. And a stagehand, I walked off stage, and the stagehand was there, and he said, "You know, Charles, that was really a really nice piece of acting you were doing there." And I told him, I said, I wasn't acting.
Right.
Yeah.
It was real. And it was like the therapy of falling on your knees and weeping in front of 6,000 people. It's the greatest therapy you can have. And then no one not know it's you, you know. I mean,
That's
so,
true.
you know, it was, yeah, I love doing it. But also, after I started playing Santa for so long, I started finding really that true character. Uh, that's why I think that Santa is universal. That it doesn't have to be an old fat white guy with a beard. It can be a woman. It can be a person of color. It can be any race, color, creed, because it goes beyond that.
Right.
It's the spirit of
It's the
it.
spirit of it. Yeah.
Hmm. That's a pretty deep analogy of it too. That's like a really deep view of it too. But I definitely see the point. But you know, as a kid growing up, the belief, well, beliefs. There's a big difference between beliefs
Yeah,
and knowings, right? I mean,
yeah,
if you believe it, like if I believe Walt looks foolish in that jacket right now, but I also know that for a fact.
Right. So it's the same.
No, but the difference is between beliefs and knowing something, like what he's saying, is that when you believe in something, it's given to you, or it's something that you base on what someone's told you or you've read, or it's a belief.
right.
But it's not. It may not be a fact. It's a belief. But But this whole Santa thing, what he's talking about, I believe what you're saying with the faith, and
That's
everything.
really deep. That's really deep, John.
Is it really deep? Yeah. Am I going too deep?
Yeah, it is. But that's really the deeper you go, the more you understand, and that's why. Again, in the book, Santa becomes a kind of a subconscious character of my own subconsciousness.
Tell us more about the book, because people not. I'm going to bring up the book and bring a picture of it up here, but I don't. People may not be aware. By the way, I don't want to cover your face.
Go ahead, cover my face, please.
Move me.
I cover his face.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
It looks better than the jacket.
You wear that well.
But this is Charles Edward Hall's book called Santa Claus is for Real, and we're going to put the link to it on Amazon as well as
put it on Facebook too.
Yeah, I'm going to put the link in the Facebook right now, so people could actually purchase this book. But tell us more about this book, Charles, because I like to understand this.
Well, it started as a memoir of how I became Santa and how I have been doing it for 33 years. And it's a story of belief. It's written as a fable. So, as I was saying, that Santa and my subconscious becomes a real character. He becomes someone that actually is outside myself. When playing Santa and I talk to Santa, I'll be in my dressing room and I'll look in the mirror and I'll see Santa and I'll have a talk with him. That's one of the great things about having to play a character for so many years, that I'm giving an opportunity to again go deep and discover, new things about this mythical character every time I play it and every year that I do it.
And it's interesting too, because you could tell that Charles is an actor. You could tell.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah.
He's got that, like he's reading a story.
Everything.
Well, I consider myself a storyteller.
You are. You definitely are.
Yeah, and you guys are as well.
No, we're not. Look at his jacket. He's talking. What story?
There's no story here.
Charles,
this is cold. This is all
story Walt is telling you that he's blind.
You're wearing your story. You are the story.
Now, Charles, have you ever, I mean, you do 200 performances a year. You've been doing it for 33 years. Do you ever just get up one day and say, I don't want to do this today?
No.
Never.
Because, you know what? Every performance is different. Every performance.
He's right.
And as an actor, I can work within a certain realm. But when I'm doing the show, there are two casts. Sometimes I'll have 3 sets of children. I mean, sometimes I'll have 3 different Mrs. Clauses. And the audience is
lucky bastard.
Yeah, the audience is, that's their first show. So I get a lot of energy from them when I'm doing it, because they haven't seen it before.
But like you have a cold, or you woke up with a headache, and you're just like, you know what?
Yeah, that's why you have to have a good. You have to have a good method. You have to have a technique.
He's a trained actor. He puts his stuff aside and does what he's got to do.
Like a bricklayer, you might have a sore back or your hands, but you got to lay those bricks anyway, because you've learned how to do it. You can do it in the best way that's possible for you, and it's hard. It's very difficult.
Walty, you have no taste in clothes, and you still put it on anyway. There you go.
I love this jacket.
I like the jacket. I do. I just wouldn't want to unwrap you. So this is what I'm wondering, though, because this is what he does is really, it must feel really, really cool to be the person that everybody wants to like take a picture with. Everyone wants to come over and hug. Every child wants to go over and go, "Oh my God, that's the guy." I mean, it has to be. Well,
Narcissistic.
I don't want to say that.
It's the reflection. It's their reflection of whom they think that character is, and that I feel is part of my job, is to try to be as universal as I can. And like I've had like guys 30 something years old come up to me and say, "You know what, your Santa is like the Santa that I think of in my head." And that's what I want to be. I want to be that
Tradition.
Or I try to be to be able to reach and touch that many people, because everyone has a certain idea and concept of their Santa, and they should.
Yeah.
What did you think, Walt, when you were a kid growing up? What was Santa Claus in your mind's eye? Because mine was Coca-Cola.
It's interesting. I again in the book, I base my character of Santa on my Uncle Walter, and Uncle Walter was a big man, and he didn't have a whole suit, but he had a beard and a hat. And when he would come over on Christmas Eve with his family and exchange gifts, he would tap on the window, and I would go over and look, and I would see this face. That's all I would see. And of course, I'd run around. I'd run back to my brother Tommy. "Oh, Tommy, I saw Santa. I saw Santa." And then we'd go back to the window. And of course, Walter was gone.
He was gone.
And then my brother was like, "Yeah, sure, you saw it right, of course." And then, sure enough, I turned back around, and there he would be peeking in the window, and it was like, Santa. And I never, for the longest time, I never really put together, because a few minutes later he would walk through the door.
John, this sounds eerily like the episode of The Twilight Zone with the gargoyle on the wing.
You know, it's funny too. When I was a kid, I remember tapping on the window, and it was snowing and everything, and my parents wouldn't let me in. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
All week.
No, that's actually really funny.
You were out there so long you grew a beard.
So
we
you
always wanted to run out during that snowstorm. We were always, my brother and I wanted to run outside and kind of feel that energy and that excitement of the snow at Christmas Eve. And of course, there was a year when my brother had measles or something, and he couldn't go. And that was, of course, the night that I met Santa Claus outside when I was by myself.
Sure.
And I remember my brother's at the window, tapping at it while I'm out there having fun with Santa.
That's called child abuse, actually.
Well,
now John brought up the point about like you having children come to you and just saying, "Wow, this is Santa Claus." Have you ever had somebody come meet you that you were like, "Wow, I can't believe this is him," like somebody famous, but you had to stay in character because you couldn't break character?
Yeah, well, when I'm in character, I stay that way. There was a lot of times celebrities will come to the theater, and I remember coming down to the deck after like 3 shows and a long day, and I saw 2 little twin boys in the hallway, and they looked up and they saw me, but I just had a show to do, and I was tired, and it was a long day, and
being human.
And as I got in my sleigh, I realized that I'm not human, and I went back to those 2 little twin boys, adorable, and I sat down on the steps with them and talked to them, and a gentleman stepped out from the side, and I looked and I saw this little black jeans, and then I looked up and I saw a little black shirt and a little black vest and these big glasses, horn-rimmed glasses, and a little black hat. And it was like my heart was beating, because it was like, oh my gosh, it's Elvis Costello. And I call it my monkey brain is going, oh, I wanted to say, oh, Elvis, I love your music. I have that.
Can I take a picture with you?
And, and I didn't. And it made me feel so good because they took out their cameras to take a picture of Santa with their children because it's not about him. And I tell people the story because I met Elvis Costello not as a rock star, but as a father.
Sure.
And and most of the people all of the people, the celebrities that I've had to deal with, have been gracious and lovely, because they believe. We're like children. If you believe, that's the secret. And it's not just at Christmas. It's all the time. You have to be able to choose to believe. And you can believe badly too, but if you believe in a bad way, or if Santa says naughty, then that's what you're going to get back. You get what you put out.
Did you actually say, okay, or can I take a picture with you also? Did you get a picture with him, or say, email it to me? No.
He played the job. But what I find super interesting.
Well, I don't want to do that to them.
The kids.
They need a chance to be
normal.
A parent and
normal.
A normal person. Yeah.
I get it.
But what's super interesting here is that he's being human. He's going to his. First of all, it's very funny to hear somebody say, "I'm on my way to my sleigh," which is, by the way, how many people get the opportunity to say?
If I had a dime for every time I said that,
you'd have a dime. And then the other thing is that he's on his way to his sleigh. He's getting ready to do his bit, and he's tired or whatever, and he's got to do his show. And then he sees those kids, and then you go back and you realize, wait a minute, I'm Santa Claus. I got to go back and play the role that I'm bred here to do. That acknowledgement shows a consciousness of you, Charles, that an awareness to like what he's really supposed to be doing in that moment, and he catches himself. That's a really wonderful story, showing the difference between an actor, the idea of what Santa Claus is, and the idea of who we are as people. It's got all of that combined. It's this dichotomous.
Well, I take it as a great responsibility.
Of course.
That and it weighs on me because I wanted to be able to work miracles. I wanted to do all the things that Santa does, but I can't. That's not what Santa does.
Are you limited in what you can and can't say to people? Like if you're working at Radio City Music Hall or at a television show, or whatever, making sure that the script is like really.
Well, I make sure of that.
Yeah,
I make sure of that myself, and that's why I think that people that know me trust me enough to know that I take the character seriously. And as I said, when I was Ebenezer Scrooge, I didn't.
You didn't, right?
Scrooge. So, well, it's because I Scrooge was the classic. Scrooge was the man. Santa. Oh, everybody does Santa. Santa. I didn't even want him the name on my jacket when I first started. But then I started to realize the impact that this character has on not only individuals but as groups and the world. So it's not it's not like I was playing Satan.
Well, the word Santa comes something from the word Satan, if you think about it. I mean, isn't it like Santa and Satan? I mean,
well, the letters are in there. The letters
I'm
are
not
all
saying
together.
that to you, Charles. I'm not saying it's you, but I'm saying
thanks.
If you look at the word Saturn.
Charles, you remember the one thing before we started? I said, "Is there anything off limits?" There it is.
Well, no, I just want to bring this up. The word Saturn came from Saturn. Saturday came from Saturn. right?
Well, it didn't come from it, but yeah, the spelling is close. And actually, there was one time in the show where we had a number where actually Santa and Mrs. Claus do a big band number because Mrs. Claus, that's what she wanted for Christmas. So Santa set it up, and we did a big number. And behind it, they floated a big sign lit up that said Santa.
Yeah.
So you thought it did.
In retech rehearsals, when it came down, someone said, "Oh no, it says Satan," and it didn't. But it's very close. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
because
same thing. You're just switching the end.
No relationship, no correlation.
None at all. What about
I only deal with naughty and nice.
you have a contract, obviously, that you deal with. Are you able to like go to hospitals and do all that kind of stuff?
Oh, we have. Like, I've done that. I do it a lot. We used
Okay.
to do it quite a bit. Back in the day before you had to wear a mask, and
Sure.
especially when years ago we used to have a lot of touring shows of the Christmas show during the season, and yeah,
I can imagine a kid's face.
But while you're doing a show like that, it's really hard to find enough time because there's so many. We do sometimes up 5 shows a day.
Wow.
And there just simply is not enough time.
Charles, how many shows do you do in the month of December, do you think?
Me personally, or the run of the show?
Well, you're in. You're in all of them, aren't you?
Well, I used to be, but I can't do 5 shows anymore. It's too difficult.
Okay.
I just don't,
in your heyday.
I wouldn't have time to sleep. And if I don't get rest, then I can't sing. So there's just a lot of shows.
You doesn't have the Santa stamina. You need the Santa stamina.
Well, it's like I was saying before. One has to learn their limitations.
Of course.
And I want to do, and I used to do all the shows. I used to do all the shows all the time. But I was younger, and the shows were different, and things were different then.
And Charles, you were raised in Kentucky, you said, right?
Yeah.
And you're in Kentucky now. Let me just a brief question though. When you get the opportunity, I mean, of course you're an actor, you're playing characters all the time, I would imagine, but when you get the opportunity to go to New York and do something like that and be the Santa on some major project for the very first time, how does that must be a very exciting, like you're the guy that's picked out of so many people to be that guy.
Actually, my first job at Radio City was Walt Disney's first Broadway production, and I played the Wicked Witch.
Get out of here. 1980.
In Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1980. Yeah. So that was my first moment of having to work on Broadway and a big show, and just learning. I was still learning. I was a young guy, and and then as other roles came, but a role like an iconic role like Santa Claus, it doesn't, to be able to play the role and as a real actor, as a real character, and not just a fake beard and a ho ho ho. That's when I learned the impact that character and that actors that people have, and it's hard to realize about you make those impacts until it starts to come back to you, and somebody 30 years after you did a performance that changed their life comes back to you and tells you.
Right.
I'm telling you how old I am, but that's when you start to realize that it's like, wow, this is really has an impact.
Full circle is what it is.
did you have to audition for that Santa part, or was that like,
I did
hey,
have to audition. Well, Bob Yanni was producing the show, and he had produced Snow White, and they had asked me to take over the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, and I auditioned as Ebenezer, and Bob Yanni came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Will you audition for Santa?" And I said, "Okay. Do you have a script, or do you have any sides?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" And he said, "I want you to be Santa." And it was at that moment that the spirit of my Uncle Walter came down, and all of a sudden, I did an improvisation on Santa Claus that I was Santa Claus, and I don't even know what I did.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then Mr. Yanni came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Can you come back later to read with Mrs. Claus?"
What he's saying is that you were inspired, which,
Yeah,
by the way,
Yeah.
Santa is in spirit.
yeah. There you go.
There you go. Yeah,
There you go.
A lot of people don't know this, John, but you know who else auditioned for that Santa part also? Elvis Costello.
And he missed out that way because he had they were running around the halls. He couldn't control them.
Fate has a way of pointing you in the right direction. So, I'm a big fan of his.
All right, so how can people get your book again?
Well, speaking of
Amazon, the Barnes and Noble, anywhere they sell books.
And I put in the chat. There's an Amazon link in the chat. This is it. Not that you could grab it from here. And there's also a Barnes and Noble with a much shorter link for Charles' book here. And if you'd like to see what Charles' book looks like, you can see it right here. That's
So
Charles.
it's got a Santa hat right on the front, like this, right on the front. I mean, mine's fake. His was real.
Yeah. And so that book, and just again, this is a book about Santa Claus is real. The Christmas Table, The Magic of Believing. Okay. Yeah, this is great, by Charles Edward Hall. And please go out and support that book, and say hello when you do it, or leave a comment there for Charles.
It's a great stocking stuffer.
A great stocking stuffer for the season. Well, Charles, you're certainly a pleasure.
A friend of mine's brother called me up the other day, Sunday morning 2 weeks ago, and said, "Charles, I read your book this morning." It's like, oh, okay.
Hey, how long is that book?
Oh, it's a very quick read.
Quick read.
It's not. That's actually one of the criticisms I get, is that it's
Too short.
Yeah, well, it goes too fast.
Yeah.
I mean, good.
We wanted to do a book that for adults, but could be enjoyed by children. That's why we wrote it as a fable, which is interesting too. I was writing a memoir of how my life as Santa Claus, and that's when my editor asked if we could write it as a fable. And
Very cool. Do they make it in Braille for somebody that wears ugly jackets? I love that.
You guys are gonna want this jacket.
yeah, I know. And you know what? You wear it well.
Thank you.
You're very
well.
It tells a lot about you. You're cheap.
Hey, listen, when you got a 30% coupon at Kohl's, you use it.
Hey, Charles, you are a pleasure, and
Yes.
I can see you have the King's English as an actor. We would love to see you in anything that you do. And thank you for even popping on here. We really appreciate it. And I hope people go out and support that book. If you like, once again, it's in there, and on Barnes and Noble right over there. And once again, if you want to know what that book looks like, it's right there.
Believe, that's all you have to do.
Believe.
And thank you to Randy Chaplin for hooking you up with us here. This was really during the season. It was a pleasure.
We refer to him as the tall elf.
The tall elf.
He doesn't sound tall.
And you know what? I have to tell you this. I have so many Jewish friends that tell me, "Oh, I believe in Santa. I love Santa. I love Christmas, but I'm Jewish. And
Right.
Santa always tells them, don't worry. All my elves are Jewish.
And those gifts will be on sale after the new year.
Yes.
Thank you, Charles. You were a pleasure.
Charles, thank you so much.
Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas.
Thank
Same
you.
thing.
Catch us on Cool Crap We Love. If you like what you see, I'm on johnpz.com, Cool Crap We Love on YouTube. And you can catch us all as well. Where else can we get us, Walt?
Yeah, get us on Facebook. You can get us on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, and we get these things out.
So great. Thank you again, Charles. Happy holidays to you. Take care, Walt. Change